All right, now we're going to swing into Jeff Gerrish, former Deputy U.S. Trade Representative. Jeff, are you out there, my friend? There you are. Good to see you again.
Good afternoon, Larry. Thanks for having me on.
All right, well, my great pleasure. So I'm making a case. I know this is a controversial thing, and I'm a non-lawyer. You're a good trade lawyer. I've spoken to a lot of our friends in the last 24, 48 hours. I still think there's a strong case for this IEEPA. He's regulating imports. It works for the drug trafficking. It works for the imbalances and the attempt to rebalance the trading system. It's going to work for the economy. Nothing's permanent. It's not like a lower tax rate, because we don't know if these tariffs are going to be permanent or not. But, Jeff Gerrish, what do you think about this?
So we had a decision issued by the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. I think the decision had a really strained reading of the language of the statute here, and found that the term regulate does not encompass the imposition of tariffs. But I think it's really critical for the president to have this authority. I think we have a real crisis here with the trade imbalance that we have. We have a massive trade deficit with the world. It reached $1.2 trillion last year. It's grown roughly 40% over the last 5 years. And what's happened is, because of these imbalanced trade relationships that we have around the world, it's resulted in the decimation of our manufacturing base, and it's critical that the president have this authority. It's already having major benefits in terms of bringing investments here to the United States. We've had trillions of dollars of investments announced. GDP has gone up. We have real increases in blue-collar wage growth. So we need to have the president to be able to have this authority to impose the tariffs. You
know, to some extent, again, I'm not the lawyer, you're the lawyer, but this idea that IEEPA allows him to regulate imports, but somehow that's different from the congressional power to tax. Well, I think, I don't know. You can count angels on the head of a pin. But I think that they're, doing that to slow him down. I really do. And I think the Supreme Court will knock it right out. But I'm not the lawyer. But again, it just seems to me lawfare by activist judges to stop Mr. Trump from his economic plan and also the foreign policy thing, Jeff, right? Nobody disagrees that the presidential power should, in foreign policy, should be stopped. But that's a big part of IEEPA. There's an urgency to IEEPA, dealing with China, right? He may be dealing with Russia with IEEPA. Who knows? He's already dealt with India by jacking up their tariffs because they're buying oil. So why don't they let him conduct foreign policy and trade policy to help the economy? That's my question. Why are they standing in the way, nitpicking him to death, ankle biting him?
Absolutely. And I think the courts typically and traditionally have deferred to the president's authority in the area of foreign affairs. And that's something that the dissent in this case recognized. And in this particular case, the language in the statute had been in a prior statute that the courts reviewed and found that, in fact, regulate does allow for the imposition of tariffs. So Congress knew when they enacted this new statute that it embodied the ability of the president to impose tariffs. And they recognized that authority was critical, as you said, in his conduct of international affairs. I mean, we've seen already what the tariffs have done in terms of leading to important trade deals that we've had announced with the EU, Japan, Korea, and several Southeast Asian nations. So he really needs this authority to give him the leverage to be able to get these trade deals done. These countries are not going to come to the table without the president having that authority.
It just occurs to me while you were saying that last point. Here's this active president, energetic president. He wants to rebalance world trade. The world trading system was broken. People who talk about free trade, look, I regard myself as a free trader, but we didn't have free trade. I think that Mr. Trump himself is a free trader, and he's trying to rectify the imbalances of free trade. But putting that stuff aside, okay, you can't separate these important trade deals with Japan, with Korea, with the European Union, and sometimes punitively like India. You can't separate that, Jeff, from foreign policy. He's conducting foreign policy while he's remaking the world trading system. The two are inseparable, and the president has the foreign policy authority. That's the key point. You cannot deny him that authority. I wouldn't deny him the domestic authority, but on foreign policy, all the precedents, the legal precedent says he has that, and they're trying to take that away from him. Give you the last word.
That absolutely is correct. And I mean, he needs to have the full set of tools to be able to conduct foreign policy. And you know, our trade relationships with countries around the world are a key component of our relationships, and the foreign affairs function of the president. And if he doesn't have the full set of authority that really was given to him by Congress, that handicaps him.
100%.
And there could not be a more critical issue here than the trade relationships we have and the huge imbalance that we have with countries around the world.
All right. Well, let's hope the lawfare doesn't get any worse. We'll see. Jeff Gerrish, thank you ever so much. We appreciate it, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Great. Thank you, Larry.